Hi guys, Ivano here with a guide for everyone who is new to PvP. And today we are talking about how to spot a tank, or how you can recognize whether your opponent is in fact a tank, so you can make sure to stay far away from them, don't get taunted and don't hit into guard. So if you're on your team, it's of course easy. You simply right click the portrait, additional commands and inspect. And then you can see when you look at the offhand, if they're using a shield, they are most likely a tank. So these shield offhands, they are the first tell. The second one could be, for example, the implants they're using. So I'm using here Super Commando. Now this can also be used by DPS players, but most of the time, if you see someone using one of these implants that have shield rating or defense on it, they are probably a tank. And if they're on your team, that might be nice, but of course on the enemy team, you cannot simply walk up to them and inspect them. So if you're in the match, there are some more tips. For example, if you target them like this, then you will see that they have this little blue icon down here. That is the tank stim. So it's usually going to be this one. And if you see that on an enemy, they are very likely a tank. Of course, not all tanks use the Fortitude stim. Some of them, like me, run full damage gear. And then they will have usually the red stim here. So this one doesn't work all the time either. Next possibility would be to look at the hit points. So if you're targeting someone, of course, you should have the hit points down here. And if someone has like crazy high hit points, let's say a geared DPS has maybe, well, something around the number that I would have. But on a tank, you can have more hit points, especially if you're playing tank with death stats. Your gear or the mods that you use will have more endurance on them. More endurance means higher hit points. Keep in mind that it doesn't always work for assassins, because assassins get a passive buff that increases their hit points by a couple %. But if, let's say, a normal DPS has anywhere from 410 to 420k DPS, and you see someone with 450k DPS, then they are very likely a tank. Pro tip, watch out for juggernauts who can temporarily increase their HP, so don't get fooled by that one. Next, of course, we have guard, the trademark of any tank. One of the most powerful abilities in the game. If you see this animation, that means guaranteed the player is a tank. So it will put this blue bubble on whoever they're guarding. It means they're intercepting damage for them. And then also under the feet of the tank, you will have this little animation here. So if you manage to see that, that means they are a tank for sure, because DPS players cannot guard anymore. Then also when they are guarding, in the buff bar of the tank, you will see an icon like this. Now these ones, they look a bit different depending on what spec the tank is. So Guardians have a different one and Assassins as well, I think. If you look out for them, you will get used to them. But of course, the much more obvious tell is the big blue bubble and this little animation. So we have the stim, we have the hit points, we have the guarding. And the next thing is, of course, the skills. So for example, if you see a PowerTech use this ability, that's an ability that only PowerTech tanks have access to. And this means, of course, if you hit someone and he hits you with this flamethrower ability, they are definitely a tank. One more time, this is how it looks. You can move it around. And this is a tank-only ability. And there's a couple of those. For example, Oil Slick is an ability that only tanks have access to. So if you see this on the floor, again, you know you are facing a tank. Of course, this takes a little bit of class knowledge. I'm not going to go through all the skills that are only tank exclusive. But for Assassin tank, you can look out for the big colorful circle that they do around them when they pop deflection. Juggernaut tank can be a little bit harder to see. The most telling thing is probably the crushing blow animation there. Again, those are tank only abilities. So if you see them in a match, you will know your opponent is a tank. And then finally, and I'm not sure if you have noticed it already, but if you look at my character and you saw this little animation here, this little circle that appears around me, that looks like a bubble, somewhat transparent bubble, this one. This is the animation when you shield an attack. And again, this is tied to your offhand, which means that you will only see this animation if your opponent is using a shield, which again means they are very likely a tank. So if you're hitting someone and you're wondering why you're not doing any damage, and then you see this animation, now you know that they are a tank. So that's all I have for today, guys. Hopefully this little guide helped you. And if it did, please don't forget to leave this one a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.